That's the wrong one. There it is. OK. Bon, aujourd'hui, je vais vous enseigner sur les arrow functions. Pas grand-chose, pas très différent de ce que vous avez déjà appris. C'est juste une fois. Attends, les Américains vont regarder ça. Yeah, so today I'm going to teach you about arrow functions. It's very simple, nothing too new that you haven't learned yet. So, can anybody tell me how you write functions normally in a program? Let's say we want to write a function that converts Celsius to Fahrenheit. How do we do that? Hmm? Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So, and the math is 5/9 equals divided by 9 times c plus 32. Conversion. All right. Now, this is nice. This is nice code. This is clean code, but it can be cleaner. It can be shorter, right? Oh, it's 9/5. Whoops. Anyways, yes, you can do much better. You can do much better than this. Instead of writing with function, keyword, and parameter, there's a much easier way, right? I don't expect you guys to understand this, so just follow along, right? Pull up your text editor and just copy down what I'm writing. All right? I'll give you guys a second. We good? All right. Loic, Terrence, Loic, Victor, Sammy, we good? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. But this is to teach everybody else too. All right. So, a function. Well, think of a function just like a variable that does other stuff. Instead of holding a value, it does stuff, right? Since it's a variable, we can just call it let or const. I would recommend const because you don't ever change a function very often. But there could be some times when you might need to use let, and those times will probably be obvious. All right, so const conversion to, right? We set up our variable. All right. Now, to get the parameters, the c, the value that will pass into the function with an arrow function. If you only have one value, you just need to put the c right there, right? Well, let's say we had like three variables, c, f, t, right? We need to put the parentheses around it to tell JavaScript this is what we're putting into our function. Y'all follow so far? Mm-hmm. All right. So since this is just a simple conversion from Celsius to Fahrenheit, we just need the c, right? Here comes the weird fun bit. We have the arrow, right? It tells JavaScript we have this is now a function declaration, and we open up. If we have a code that needs several lines, I don't know. Return. Oh wait. What? It is equal sign and greater than. So it's equal sign and the shift dot. You see? Control Shift. You see? Better? No problem. Alright. So we have the conversion, and we have the arrow that tells JavaScript we're writing a function, right? We have the brackets, if it has more than 2 lines, so... But, I don't know. Val is equal to 9 divided by 5 divided by 5 times c, and then you just return val plus 32, right? Okay. You understand that we would need the brackets. And because return because when you're writing functions, the key to good code is making the input of one function, the output of one function, the input of another, right? So if we have something that can do one thing, that function should only do one thing and one thing well. Don't make something very complicated when it needs to be simple. Okay? It just makes returning a value is better than a console.log because console.log is not usable for the computer. It just shows it for the user. Okay? Okay, perfect. But since we see here, we only need one line for this, right? And since we only need one line, we don't need the arrow, we don't need the braces, so we just need to do 9 divided by 5 times c. That's 32. Right? As you can see, this is an arrow function, right? We have the arrow here. This is where we declare the variables we're going to use. You can put parentheses around it even if it's 1. Doesn't matter too much, but it can help sometimes. Make it clear that what you're doing. Yes? Yes, if you don't want to put any parameters, don't forget the parentheses then. Right? If you need a parameter, if it's just 1, parentheses are optional but recommended. Okay? Alright. Now that I've given you guys the basics, do you guys understand why we would need this? I'll tell you why. Okay, remember filter map and reduce from yesterday, where we have a list of let numbers equal to 1, 1, 2. Okay, we have this list of numbers, right? Let's say we want to make a list of doubles, right? If we wanted to make a list of doubles, we could just do numbers.map, and what map does, for every single item in the list, right? Every single one of them, doesn't matter how long it is, it will do one function on it, right? The problem is we need to write that function down somewhere. But since we're only doubling one time, do you really think it's necessary to write our own function called function double and take up space in our code? No, I don't think so. So what you would use arrow functions is you take in the value. In this case, it would be called x because it's only taking in one number from the list, one item from the list. Right? You follow? Understand? After that, we continue writing the function 2 times x, right? And all right. So this is just console.logging the doubles, and if everything's done right when I run this in Node later, it should just show the double of every number here. And to prove it, let's just log numbers. All right. Now let's say we want to get only the even numbers, right? Well, we could write a function called isEven. We take in the number x, and then we return x mod 2. Now, can somebody remind me what the percentage sign does? You can look in code review, it's on the first day. The remainder. Yeah, no, you got it right, it's the remainder. So if you find the remainder of the division is equal to 0, and then it's either true or false. Now, I forgot, why did I write it like this again? Yeah, why did I write x? What does this do? Hmm. Exactly. Exactly. So if it's divisible by 2, then the remainder will be equal to 0. And if the remainder is 0, then we know it's an even number, right? So we'll spit out true. But since this is so simple, don't you think it would be easier to just write this as an arrow function? Because there's so much less to write, right? So let evens equal to numbers dot filter. Right, now how would I write this in this? How would I write this function again? Can you guys help me out? If, don't forget, we have this function right here. Now it's filter, right? Now, don't forget what filter does. It takes every single item in a list and check if it's true or false once the function is done. Now we have this. This does what we want to check, if it's even, right? How do I write this down as an arrow function to put this in the filter? Parenthesize x. Mm-hmm. Yep, arrow. Mm-hmm. X percentage 2 and triple. Yep, triple equals 0. All right, so you see, that's correct. Absolutely correct. Yes. So you would see why we would want to use the arrow functions, right? It just makes code. It makes you write a lot less code. Instead of writing 3 lines, you write it down in 1, uh, which again doesn't sound like much since we're working at such a small scale. But once we get down to bigger projects, arrow functions are going to be a lifesaver, as they're going to be much easier to write, and much cleaner to look at too. You'll get used to these much faster than you're gonna get used to function, right? Because it looks just like the function. It just looks like the function equation. Give me a sec while I draw GIMP. Pull up a GIMP so I can draw it. Equal arrows. That's telling the computer this is an arrow function. So it's like writing function, right? But with just 2 characters. Here, I'll show you what I mean. So how do you write down a function in mathematics? Oh, and my kernel drivers are updated. That's fine. How do we write down a function in mathematics? Come on, guys, math. How do you write a function in math? In math, yep. Yep, normal math. F of x, yeah. All right. 2. Oh yeah. 4x. All right. Yeah, that's one way to write it down. But how would you write? What's the other way to write it down? There are 2 ways to write down functions. There's another one. Mm-hmm. X. Oh crap. Yep. Sorry. I am streaming the wrong screen. Whoops. Sorry. Yes, sorry. So yeah, we have x. 2 points x is equal to 4x. You see this? That's the arrow. That's where arrow functions come from with JavaScript, right? It's just like normal math. You tell the computer that's a function with the arrow. You understand? exactly not the same writing, but it's shorter and you can write down functions very quickly, right? Hmm. Yeah. Yes, it's exactly yes. Yes, that is it. Change windows. Change windows. Okay. So, do we have any questions for today? Oh, I should probably t- show you guys that this works. Log evens. Right. And I forgot to select here. Space FP. Space FP. Nah, doesn't matter. Oh, should open up ST and I should go up, 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 That's annoying. All right, there we go. You guys see here? See the code, JavaScript. All right. Now, how do I run a JavaScript file again, guys? I forgot. Terrence? No. Of course. Sammy, do you remember how to run a JavaScript file? Come on. Node. Mm-hmm. Perfect. Perfect. You got it. Perfect. All right. So node arrow.js, right? As you can see, we have our first list. It doesn't look pretty because I did not ask JavaScript to make it pretty. But this is the first list, right? Here we have the second list, which is the doubles. And as you can see, it worked. And this is the final list that just finds the only the even numbers, right? So you can see that this works, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah. So I hope you. Any more questions, guys? Anything else? No real questions? Reduce, of course. Sure. It's a lot easier with this list because it's just numbers this time. So reduce, it takes in. Ah, yes, this is a good one. Now reduce takes in two parameters. How would I write this down? Let sum is equal to. Sorry. Okay, so what reduce does, it takes every single item in the list, yes, and tries to convert that list into a single number, a single value, right? But it has to do that with the function you write. Now, we're going to have to have two values called total and num, as in num for number. How would I write this down in an arrow function? Because we've only done it with one parameter. We have two parameters called total and number. How do we write this down? Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the parentheses. Total. Yep, total and number, right? So as you can see, we need the parentheses. It's non-negotiable this time. You already could have taken them off. Doesn't really matter. I like it. Anyway, let's see. So you have to do total plus number, right? So it takes in the total number and the current number. Oh, and with reduce, there's also an initial value you need to add, right? What's the starting point for this function? All right, let's run this and see if it works. All right. Change rows. and I didn't console log it. That's fine. Let's try that again. There we go. Alright, this is, yep, 73. So guys, it works. Alright. And I think that's all for the lesson today. Thank you for coming, guys. And I'll see you all Friday. Bye.